Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now, we are joined by Neil and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Good afternoon, guys.
How are you?
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm very well indeed. We've got a popular demand, which isn't typically the case if we've already covered a video, but lots of people got in touch and said, please cover this Witsit and Prof Dave video more. So I'm like, fine. You know, it saves me a job looking for something else to cover. We've only got about 6 minutes into 2 hours of it. Brian wants to cover all of this again on Ballbusters, which sounds absolutely tedious, but there we go. I'm going to plod my way through it regardless. So we're going to basically start off where we left off yesterday on yesterday's live stream, unless anybody's got any comments that they wanted to add in the meantime. Super keen panel as well, obviously. Really good stuff. Well, we'll see how we get on. If you want to interject, feel free.
Session, I will continually drag him back to very simple, naked eye observations and basic logic that prove the Earth is a sphere without any understanding of physics whatsoever. Number one, the observations of the stars. In the northern hemisphere, the stars rotate counterclockwise. In the southern...
Did we cover all this?
Yeah, we covered that. I don't understand. He started off by saying regular observations of Earth, and he talks about the sky.
Yeah.
Stars. So in the north, can't see Southern Cross. In the south, can't see Polaris. Speaking of the Southern Cross, in order to get the pizza land, he has to take the point that is the South Pole and unwrap it to get...
Do we want to stick with Dave's claims? We covered all of this. He's expanding on what he's already basically covered up until now. And he did so in such a concise way in his summary that we basically pulled apart all of these claims anyway. But in terms of this observation that he's got on screen now, it's claimed to be the case, but no one's ever actually presented it being done. That's the first problem. The second problem is claiming that it doesn't work on some projection is irrelevant. All we need to see is reality in terms of how we measure Earth. Now, these affirming the consequent formal logical fallacies were great in 2015 and 16 and maybe even 2017, but now they're just old hat. You know, if P then Q, Q therefore P, in terms of either a globe proof or a flat Earth debunking, it's just old and boring. Now, more than anything, people have actually requested specifically that they want to hear what Witsit's got to say, more than Dave. So, with all due respect to you, Dave, this garbage has been covered so much that your summary is good enough. So I'm going to spin through until we get to Witsit, unless there's something that I see that's particularly interesting because it wasn't already mentioned. What's this? 24-hour trip. Oh, this is on topic. Maybe we should cover this.
Person lately has been offering fully paid trips to the South Pole so that flat earthers can see the 24-hour sun, and they are all busy crapping their pants trying to make excuses to not go.
Not really. I mean, I don't want to go, but again, we'll deal with what we just dealt with 25 seconds ago, which is that this is just another affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy straight off the bat, like they all are. So, you know, if we observe a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, then we have a rotating globe. We do have a rotating globe because we observe a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. You know, it's an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy straight out of the gate. Furthermore, from first-hand testimony, We don't have a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. It doesn't go a full 360 rotation above the horizon. That is not the accounts that I have been given from people who spent a prolonged period there. That would be specifically Robert Shortman. But what they want to do is affirm the consequent. Doesn't matter if it's Earth turn rotation based on an axis that's derived from a flat plane. They want to take the plane that is used and measured and put it into a formal logical fallacy. In this case, affirming the consequent with the sun being above the horizon. Now, even if it was true, it wouldn't prove we were on a rotating body or that it was spherical. It's non sequitur in that regard. Part of the affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy is the non sequitur nature of the Q statement. That is to say that your P statement doesn't necessarily follow that the Q statement has any bearing on it whatsoever. Yeah? If Earth is rotating, well, there's a way to beg the question. Then we will observe star rotation in one direction and the other. If we turn around, we do observe two directions, relative, if I turn around. Therefore, we're on a rotating sphere. See how that works? Well, all of the arguments are like that, but in this case, we've got this particular example claimed to be an experiment. So one of the pastors, he's from a ministry, has come up with a formal logical fallacy, affirming the consequent, shock horror, and claimed it's an experiment. History repeats itself. The same thing was done by Bob and Jaron and latched onto by Netflix, so that the affirming the consequent we were using in the negative, when failed, had a new affirming the consequent invented by Bob Nodell, using ether rather than Earth rotation as the Q statement. Now in this instance, we've got the exact same problem. We've got an affirming the consequent, but it's claimed to be science. That is to say, it's an experiment. So my first question to the ministry, the pastor that got in touch with me via my video, in my comments, he was asked for the independent variable, dependent variable, and null. Now, have we got those things? Of course not. It's completely invalid. It's not an experiment. It's not science. It's not going to prove anything. It's an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy. But all Dave says is, we're all terrified to go? No? Number one, I don't want to go to some cold, horrible place that there's nothing to do. But if what I can affirm the consequent along with you, commit that fallacy, suddenly it's a worthy journey? Definitely not. We'll listen to a little bit more.
That's what I was going to say.
Go ahead.
That's what I was going to say. It's not an experiment. And the other thing is, what are they saying? We're all shaking in our boots to go there. This is where they're at now. That's all they have.
Ad hominem and poisoning
it's
the well.
Funny.
It's an ad hominem attack and poisoning the well fallacy in lieu of the affirming the consequent. Essentially, it's a string of fallacies.
Once again, on a globe Earth, this makes perfect sense. Day is when you're facing the sun. Night is when you're facing away. Pretty simple.
Not really. Your radial value derivation of orbital motion and axial rotation needs a flat Earth measurement in the first instance to derive out those values to put into Keplerian orbits and have an axis to rotate about. You've got to derive it from a plane of reference. What an axis is, perpendicular to the plane. That's how it's described in your globe model, because that is how it tallies with the world that we actually inhabit and measure. These guys like to measure a flat Earth, derive it through Kepler into a ball, and then reify that ball into the world we're actually standing on, and then say, this works perfectly. You're like, no, what works perfectly is our angular account of what the sun does. It's then transposed into the notion of an axial rotation, derived from flat-blown measurements. For you to believe in your reification that you're standing on a sphere, to claim that it works, when it's merely the only aspect of physical functionality, is derived from the flat Earth measurements in the first instance, so it can back engineer itself into the angle measurements of the sun in this instance, or the stars, so we can have mapping and navigation and globes.
Number 3, Southern Hemisphere causes trouble. For years, flat earthers have been pretending that there are no direct flights in the Southern Hemisphere.
Straw man argument. Do I need to cover all this? This is all the 2015, 16, 17 garbage that's been covered about a bazillion times. We'll spin on till we get to a bit of Witsit.
Able to discuss any of the centrism. This debate that that the Earth is flat. That's
okay. Just so everyone knows, but also
okay. Hopefully that's the end of the string of baseless assertions and ad hominem fallacies and all the rest of the crap that Dave will have to spew. We'll see how Witsit gets on.
So that the Earth is at the center of the universe too, right? Is that one?
Well,
Are those two things combined?
Oh my god. The quartering is asking if the sun is at the middle when the system they're debating about is called heliocentric. That is sun at center. Helios, sun. Centric, center. And he's asking if they're combined. You're debating heliocentrism, my friend. I mean, this is pretty basic to ask this question. Seems. Why are you even in this discussion? Why are you allowing two people to debate if you have no idea where to interject as a moderator?
I mean, yeah, there is no universe if there's right. Okay, it doesn't matter. Go ahead. Whatever.
Okay, well, no, that's fine. We'll just go right to the Dave's. Or I'm sorry.
Fair enough.
Well, what happened?
He just left.
He left.
Well, he might have just. Maybe he'll come back. He might have clicked. Right there he is. So at 4:46, you have your 7.
It's our position is that the Earth is a geocentric stationary.
Let's just stop him right there. Our position. All right. Let's just crick my neck a little bit. You're not my ambassador, right? I challenge quite a few things you say, Witsit. So your position is what you will put forward here, right? Our position. Let's not absorb the stereotype like you represent me. Okay?
Plane. This feeble attempt to separate the conversations is disingenuous. If the Earth is stationary, it's in the center of the universe. None of the kinematics or dynamics, even of geocentrism, is exclusive to sphericity. That is just a get out of jail card because he will not be able to defend the claim that we're moving around the sun. To very quickly go.
Well, whether or not he can or can't defend it still is reliant on the measurements of a flat plane that are used by Kepler. So regardless of whether or not he can defend it, if he does a good job, all it does is prove the back engineering of the model's initial measurements, which are flat. So a win for the globe. Again, this is perhaps a little bit above most people's pay grade when they're debating this subject. But the origins of the globe, if they form a coherent explanation for what's occurring, are only as a direct result of the origins of their measurements. So Kepler taking angles to the stars and celestial sphere and ephemeris and putting them into an orbital motion based on a sphericity we don't actually have is just a win for flat Earth. Because when you're going to say, well, this wins because what the curved surface is what makes it function? No. The flat Earth will make it function to be capable of turning into a sphere for him to say this only functions on a sphere. No, it only functions on a flat Earth. That's how we measure it. You've converted that measurement into your sphere to claim it works.
Go through some of this. Falsification is independent of replacement. And so what always happens is people don't defend the globe. They just want to ask millions of questions to the flat earthers.
Yeah, absolutely correct. It's not your job to explain formally answered questions, if wrong, from a heliocentric perspective. If the heliocentric perspective can explain why the sky is blue and you debunk their claim, you don't have to suddenly explain why the sky is blue. Absolutely correct.
And somehow if a flat earther doesn't know the answer, then all of a sudden the globe model becomes true. And then of course the burden of proof is the one making the positive claim, and then shifting the burden is making the other person prove why your claim isn't true. So if I read a book and say all these fairy tales exist, I don't have to prove that unicorns don't exist. Very simple concept that gets overlooked consistently in this debate. Oftentimes we get what's called a straw man fallacy. People say that this is what flat earth is.
So interesting. What is he doing? He's taking about the position as it will be discussed and debated rather than just laying out his evidence. This is how the debate will take place, is what he's now going through. Does everyone pick up on that? Detailing his knowledge of fallacies.
Yeah, I did. I don't know why he's not coming right out of the gate. Forget about everything Dave said. Just come right out of the gate and show that Earth is measured flat. Boom, over.
Sure, but alternatively what he's doing is he's explaining, he's not doing a bad job of it, don't get me wrong, how the debate progresses in terms of summarising what Dave has just done in his opener. Now, I don't know if he was privy to what he'd be doing, but, you know, based on past experience, he's going to know what happens, isn't he? Witsit, that is. And he's summarising it quite nicely. This is the state of debate. if you will, that Witsit's going through. But the state of the debate isn't the debate. The debate is whether or not Earth's flat.
Is, and they point and laugh, and no one that I know thinks that it's a flat disk in a solar system. That's ridiculous. Hopefully we can prevent these, but these are the typical fallacies used. Of course, a straw man fallacy, which we just discussed, ad hom, attacking the person instead of the argument, credentials. Oh, you're not qualified to talk about this. Appeal to what everyone else thinks, appeal to authority.
Yeah, okay, we got that. Yeah, this is the state of the debate. Now get into it, though. You know, good the first time around. It didn't need the summary. You've only got a limited amount of time.
Reasoning the well, begging the question, shifting the burden of proof. These are always used. Everyone was taught the Earth's a globe when they were young. That doesn't mean it's true. So let's just quickly go through the basic claims here.
Wow, this is his opener. You were taught it from birth, doesn't mean it's true. Not a very high standard, gotta be honest.
Claim 1 is that the Earth's a sphere with a radius of 3,959 miles.
No. The claim that Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles is a measurement-based claim. The measurement of a radial value for a sphere of 3959 miles is a derivation of an angle measurement inferred at its minimum to Polaris off a flat plane. Not a claim.
That would be a circle of equal altitude.
Correct. That's the maximum circle of equal elevation for Polaris, also known as the outside edge of a sphere after conversion. You've got to measure it. They measure it off a flat Earth. It's used in the latitude system. They call it the equator, the outside edge for them. Yeah? Based on that radial value that's derived from flat Earth measurement. So it's not a claim, which is wrong. Now, don't get me wrong, we were saying it up until 2024 also. Maybe not 2024. But we were claiming they begged the question of this sphere value. No, they didn't. They got it from a flat Earth measurement.
The second claim is that the Earth is spinning, tilted, wobbling, revolving.
No, that's axial rotation, though, isn't it? Derived also from a flat plane of reference to have the axis with respect to. It's a flat plane requirement in terms of describing axial rotation. Yeah? It's a plane of reference. That's what's rotating. That's how the mathematical description utilized from angle measurements and the celestial sphere is capable of accurately describing how the sky moves for you to superimpose a extrapolation of a radial value from a flat Earth measurement also into the inference that that's an axis of rotation with respect to a plane that's also ball-shaped. Again, you're going to need a flat Earth for the axial rotation. So it's not a claim. It's based on flat Earth measurements.
Around the sun, shooting through the galaxy, that's then shooting through space. That is a positive claim. And then the third one.
That's the only bit he's got right. Space, the outer space sky vacuum bit is a positive assertion. They need to back that garbage. They can't. It's a violation of natural law.
One is that the Earth is in the vacuum of space.
Again, while we're doing this, I do kind of feel like I'm responding to a baller. Why are you summarizing the globe Earth positions so you can put counterpoints in rebuttal to their positions that you're making the positive claim for? Even though you're suggesting how this claim is wrong, you're simultaneously putting the claim in the mind's eye of the audience as they hear this. And it's all heliocentric in nature with lovely graphics. Yeah? I mean, look at this. This is what Witsit's prepared for this. So it's all anti-globe. This is how the globe does not work. Like, start proving Earth's flat, people.
Heliocentric model has the burden of proof for these claims. So attempting to remove the.
Yeah, they did. They did that. Have the burden of proof, and he had his time first, and he sat with his finger on his face, and I don't blame him. You know, I'd be delighted if I was Dave. Actually, shouldn't say he shouldn't look bored, other than it's a good debate tactic because he's on camera. But he's reiterating some of your positions, so you can only debate within the ideas of heliocentrism whether they are or are not correct. That's a delight. If you're the glober, this is just where you want to be. Wonderful. I'd be delighted if I was Dave.
Burden
Actually, a
and
good
pretend.
move by Dave. It tells that Dave done his homework and knows exactly what Witsit's going to fall into, like you said, and keep reiterating his points. Well done.
As I say, from my perspective, reviewing this, and it's all heliocentric in nature, I just think we as a community, if we're going to start stereotyping as Witsit did at the beginning of this, making every word I say justifiable. He said we, us. He's including me in this argument. Well, we need to start arguing about how Earth is flat straight off the front foot. Immediately launch into how that's how Earth is dealt with and measured. It should be the first thing out of your mouth. This stuff, this how the globe doesn't work, should be a distant memory by now. Don't need it. They'll do it for you. I absolutely assure you. And when they do, and only they, not you, bring up the globe, point out where their globe needed flat earth proof for it, like I did. Now I'm doing it for Witsit. Why am I having to point out how his anti-globe claims that put globe at the forefront of the argument in the mind's eye of the person watching need a flat earth for them? Why am I having to do that with Witsit's arguments? Where's the flat earth coming in? We're going to put a stopwatch till we hear some flat earth evidence from Witsit, because we haven't got any yet. It's just how your globe faith doesn't work and how the argument progresses with ad homs and fallacies.
That it's just automatically granted to you at the beginning is not how logic works whatsoever. And then one would say, wait, isn't saying the earth is flat a positive claim? It is, of course. And so then we would have the burden of...
That's a measurement. It's not a claim. You know, it's not a claim if you run a tape measure down something. I'm not claiming it is the number at the end of the tape measure if I can prove that that's what I've measured. Earth is measured flat. That's not a positive claim. Yeah, we're in a category error when we call it a debate. There is no debate. Both sides agree. We will start by measuring Earth flat. Now, if I'm a glober, I'll apologise and say that's only because Earth's so big that we'll measure it flat. I, as a flat earther, say we measure Earth flat. And then I don't do the extrapolation after I've measured it flat into my belief that I'll then reify and argue with you about how ball-shaped it is after I've measured it flat. I won't do all those steps. Likewise, when I look at something in the distance, I just say there's a clock. I don't say there's a slightly looming non-standard refraction holographic projection of a clock from behind the physically reified geometric sphere edge below surface level after extrapolating out a derivation of surface level and eye level called Earth curve below the surface level that I claim should be blocking this. Therefore, it's a mirage. Therefore, we don't see it. We shouldn't really see it. That's what a lot of flat earthers go through. Now leave it to them. Let them extrapolate out from their flat earth measurements. Let them take surface level or sea level or eye level and start fiddling with it and gerrymandering it into some sort of claim of a globe proof. Let them do it. And then take them back to the start of their claim where they use sea level. Take them back to the start of their claim where they use elevation angle measurements to derive some of their sphericity in the case of radial values, as is used in this case by Witsit with his anti-globe rhetoric. Start saying Earth is flat, because it is.
Of proof, and we have fulfilled that, right? Actually, this right here is a specular reflection. Any convexity or concavity of the water, if it was curving, you wouldn't be able to get a specular reflection because it...
Ding! First point. Yeah. Perfect. Flat Earth proof on screen. Top job. No criticism. Anybody who does will get a slap. Who wants to criticise this? Nobody. Top job, Witsit. Moving on.
Will cause what's called a diffused reflection. If we move on here, we have actually verified the Earth's flat many ways.
Whoa, what happened to the salt flats? There's a measured amount of relief on the salt flats. Yeah? Very, very little. Yeah, it's measured flat. Now, it's a quantifiable, demonstratable example called flat that is flat and measured as such, like everything. But that one, you've got a visual representation. If it's got a bit of water on it, you get a perfect reflection of that too. But there's multitudes of examples of flat Earth evidence and measurement within the salt flats that you can show people.
Ways. Radio waves can be sent over 10,000 miles. Amateur records show that they're sent thousands of miles at all frequencies far beyond the geometric limitation of the globe.
Yeah. So it's the radio waves travel too far. Because I'm sitting here thinking, radio waves, what's he going to go with this? Okay, radio waves travel a long way. No, it's because Earth isn't getting in the way like it should. Again, this is something we dealt with a couple of years ago. We need to stop telling people how much Earth curve should be getting in the way and what a shock it is that it isn't. Because all you're doing is cementing in the mind's eye of the person that there should be an obstruction blocking the radio waves. Because then the person listening goes, well, there should be something in the way. Let's find out why it isn't. Yeah? Don't need to make their claim for them.
Here we have a distant mountains observed from 167 miles away at less than 1,000 feet. So the target hidden height should be almost...
Target hidden height should be. Witsit's about to tell you how much Earth curve should or shouldn't be in the way. Yeah? Go on, Goat.
This is...
it was me.
I've just woke up. Oh, sorry, go on.
Goat then, George.
No, I was talking about the height of the mountains. How you get the height of the mountains again?
The height's off of a flat plane. It's an elevation with respect to sea level. So before you've got into quantifying how much Earth curve should or shouldn't be there, you've got to describe the heights to give that description with respect to surface level. The heights, the elevations. You've already got a flat Earth proof before you start saying how much Earth curve shouldn't have got in the way or should have got in the way, so that they can explain why it didn't. No, you need a flat Earth for this claim in the first instance. We've got heights above mountains. Well done, George. Yes, spot on. Go ahead, Goat.
This is my favourite part of the debate because Witsit is going to use the black swan argument without the black swan argument. So for whatever reason, he's got his hostilities towards QE. He's not going to use the modus tollens. He's not going to use a video from BLMSB or whoever it was. But what he is going to do to his benefit is cite a long-distance observation that was officially award-winning as the longest observation at that time. And then Dave's rebuttal is going to be, you guys lie. You guys lie about the height of the mountain. You guys lie about the height of the observer and the distances. And then I remember reading the comments, somebody saying that how can an official award-winning long-distance observation be a lie?
Or over 11,000 feet, but the mountain's only 12,000 feet. We should only be seeing roughly 1,000 feet of the mountain. Clearly, that's not the case. Here we have another one, 168 miles. Target hidden height is almost 12,000 feet, and the elevation is entirely 12,000 feet. So we should not see the entire mountain. This is a major problem because you're going to have a problem trying to invoke refraction here, and hopefully...
We should not see the mountain. What? Yeah, back to my example earlier. It's two guys. I'll expand on it. One is a flat earther and the other is a globe believer. Staunch globe believer. They look across a bay and see a clock. No. I start the example again. They see a mountain. The flat earther goes, check out that mountain. I bet that's miles away. And the globe earth believer says, no, that mountain should not be there. It's a slightly looming non-standard refraction holographic projection of the mountain from behind the reified physical geometric sphere edge horizon we derive when we measure surface level and give a derivation when we raise in altitude at eye level. So we can infer there's a geometric blockage below the surface level that gets in the way of the mountain. Therefore, it's not there. But we can see it. Therefore, it's projected up from behind that Earth curve to give us the image that we see of a mirage. So it's not really there, it's a mirage, because Earth curve should be in the way. Obviously, says the globe believer. The flat earther turns around and says, I just see a mountain. There it is, there's my evidence. I open my eyes and I can see it. See the difference in standard? So as a globe believer, you might have to justify why you see things that you think aren't there. As a flat earther, I don't have to do that. Witsit has taken upon himself to say this mountain shouldn't be there. Why shouldn't it? Oh, because Earth curve should be in the way. No, the Earth curve claim has been derived from flat Earth measurements of surface level and eye level. It's nonsense.
You do. This used to be the world record.
Was that somebody wanting to go word in?
Yeah, I was saying, does Professor Dave always has that sleeped asleep look through the whole thing? Like his whole demeanor, like not even paying attention to what's going on.
I mean, I have assessed his demeanour. I says he looks bored. I'd be jumping for joy. You says he's got. It sounded like you were suggesting he's got an arrogant demeanour about him, Bookfin.
Arrogant, kind of bored. I'm asleep. I'm not even listening to what's being stated.
Fine.
Longest distance line of sight, of course, that means you're a direct line of sight to what you're observing. The world record for the longest photo, here we have a target hidden height of 16,000 feet, and the top of the tallest mountain is 12,000 feet.
Oh, this is driving me nuts. Telling people what the target hidden height should be is to suggest that you're going to go through Earth curve mathematics and justify it. We were saying in 2016, the moment we enter into a debate that utilises the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator, you've already lost. This is in Witsit's opener.
Which means that the mountain should have been thousands of feet below the curvature. Here's
Should it? That would be me thinking you as a flat earther wouldn't be telling people how much Earth curve should be obstructing things.
another one, 271 miles. Again,
These guys are so far behind us. We were doing this in 2015, weren't we? When we debated Isle of Man. Nobody is. You can remember that far back, probably. Maybe there's a few of you on the panel that were still listening to the show back then. But when we gave the title to the calculator, we were doing this. And Witsit's still doing it in 2024. Like 8 years later.
and the entire mountain should have been obstructed by over 3,000 extra feet. Here's another one, 250 miles. You get the idea. Over and over, the mountain should be obstructed, except for just roughly 800.
Height off a flat plane, distance along a flat plane. Before we get to any maths of Earth curve calculations.
Well, all of those mountains that you just described it now, they all have one thing in common: the same baseline.
Yep.
The same sea level.
Yep. Exactly. More simple than we need it to be. Just point out this height for all the mountains is off a flat plane. That's how we measure heights off sea level. That's how we do it across the entire world. That's it. That's done. Don't need to tell us how we take flat Earth measurements of elevations of mountains and put them into an Earth curve calculator that derives a geometric sphere at horizon below surface level that you'll measure the difference with eye level. That's two parallel planes, surface level being one of them, that are necessitated to claim Earth curve for you to argue about how much should or shouldn't be there. It's just nuts. We've advanced beyond this.
100 feet here.
Are your teams struggling to find the latest plans?
They
With
are.
Asana, tasks and company-wide goals are in.
I shall look
Here's
into
another
Asana.
one, 241 miles. The entire mountain, almost the entire mountain should be hidden. And then it goes.
No, it should not. Why am I having to shout at you, Witsit, about your globe Earth claims? This is annoying. Why do people give me these videos to get me frustrated?
Goes on and on and on. Here is a very important observation everyone ducks away from. If you look in the top left here, you see you can't see the mountains. These are called Canigou Mountains. You cannot see the mountains. So when people say, can you see, will you be able to see forever if the Earth was flat? That's a ridiculous straw man. Even within a globe paradigm, you'd have to admit you can't see forever because of something called attenuation. The light gets absorbed into the medium.
What? We can't see forever because of light attenuation? No, hashtag shit shrinks. Yeah, this cow is small. That cow is far away. That's not light attenuation. That's angular resolution. What's he babbling about?
We cannot see the mountains.
Why are we making this claim? Flat Earth is not proven with perspective. Yeah? They have taken the effects of perspective and called them Earth curve. So why are we discussing it? It's something they have used. Now, within that claim, they do actually have something we could use, the horizon. Now, you can use that to prove flat Earth all day long. But you're not even on it. I just don't get why Witsit's doing this.
Until the sun gets behind it, due to the intensity of the light from the sun, you now get a silhouette. And we can see the Canigou Mountains. These should have been completely obstructed. You can buy a plane ticket right now for 2 specific days of the year, and you'll know that you'll see the mountains because of a silhouette based on where the sun sets So I guess refraction is just colluding with the calendar and with the atmosphere to make...
Who are you arguing with? Nobody suggested that. Refraction is like a second segue after the measurement of a flat Earth, the extrapolation of radius, the conversion to latitude, the stretching out over a ball, the Keplerian application of orbital motion, the derivation from Huygens of distance for light speed and AU. Then you can get to these claims about how much, in a begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator, they say the sun should be obscured by a physical geometric horizon that's in maths below a flat Earth. Why are you so far around the reeking and now you're into refraction after those facts? My God, the rabbit hole goes deep, and it's so littered with feast of nonsense. That's what Earth curve calculations are for a flat earther. More feast of nonsense garbage. This isn't our claim. Earth is measured flat, Witsit. To describe the angular relationship between the sun and the mountains will require elevation angles. To describe the height of the mountains, to describe where it is in respect to those elevation angles, all require a plane of reference to describe everything I've just detailed. Your explanation in and of itself requires a flat Earth. You don't need to get into their calculations. They extrapolate out after those measurements, my son. It's not needed. Leave it to them. Then you won't have me shouting at you for going on and on about bloody globes. You're a flat earther, son. Man up and start talking about Earth being flat.
Make the Earth look flat over and over. Of course, it's a silhouette refraction.
Look flat? No, it doesn't even look flat in these images. Look flat. Is that the standard? This is garbage. Measured flat. It's a much higher standard. Yeah? 8 years ago I was saying it looks flat. Obviously and observably flat. Yeah, it's a pretty low standard looking back on it, Witsit. You're still there 8 years later.
Affects light, not the absence of light. Here to address his straw man about the geocentrism thing, these are projected onto a plane. These are literally azimuthal projections. So to say that it...
So what's azimuth? Yeah? Go into how these measurements are done with respect to the plane. Talk about azimuth and altitude and how it's measured. These are measurements. Oh my God, I'm going to do this till I'm blue in the face, aren't I? Who said this was good? Who needs telling off? Who said Witsit did a good job? Brian, get your ass in here.
It requires sphericity is ridiculous. Here we see that all the paths of the planets fit right within a Ferrel cell magnet torus field. Okay.
Straight into his voodoo. Right, segue from all globe Earth standards that are being debunked. Nothing to do with flat planes apart from him suggesting that it looks that way. And now we're into his voodoo nonsense about bloody dielectric incoherent acceleration. Oh my God.
Okay, what a coincidence. And to address this misnomer that sunsets are impossible on a flat Earth and they just go behind the curve of the Earth, that is also not true. Here we see the sun disappearing above the horizon with a horizontal line blocking the bottom of it far above the horizon. This is proof.
Not proof. You've got nothing to tell him how far it is. Yeah? The reason we use the black swan is because it's got demarcation for distance. Yeah? It's all well and good saying, here's two horizons. That's lovely. Okay, you could change the contrast level on this and show that there's really only one, obviously. Meanwhile, how far is this? If you're going to be within their paradigm of distance derived from flat Earth measurements of miles and heights derived from flat Earth measurements above sea level, and claim that the difference in a calculation called Earth curve maths that gives you height of eye parallel with surface level to infer a point below it that this sun's going to be going behind, then you need to demarcate their distances and their heights and elevations. Don't you? You're in their paradigm. Why the hell you'd be in their paradigm, I don't know. There's nothing demarcating distance in this. The whole point of the Black Swan is to say the oil rigs are at 6 and 9 miles. Where's the horizon? Is it beyond them? Yep. So let's say 10 miles. It's obviously not. It's probably more like, who knows, for much, much further than 10. But it's definitely beyond 9.6 or whatever the last oil rig is. So therefore, you can start making some claims based on their assertions of physical geometric sphere edge horizons that block your distance view of the oil rigs when they're not blocked and the horizon's behind them. But you can categorically say how far that distant horizon is, this is meaningless.
Proof that the sun can disappear up above the horizon due to atmospheric conditions. Of course, we have
Atmo, what now? Sphere-shaped air conditions cause that. Oh, well, thank you for answering the question you asked in regards to how much physical obstruction would be in the way and what would cause it not to be. We've got an answer from Witsit of refraction, and now we've got another answer from Witsit overcoming his own globe-Earth arguments. Does not compute. Yeah? Now we've got atmosphere. Sphere-shaped air is the solution. Oh, we're back onto a reflection. Maybe you'll get another point. Oh, didn't I already give him one?
have tons of assumptions when it comes to the military that the Earth is flat. Specular reflection, again, I'm going to kind of speed through these, but specular reflection, you see that just a small concavity or convexity in the water actually causes what's called a diffused reflection. You'll see here in the left. So you actually need a flat surface to have a specular reflection. We see these over long distances consistently.
He already covered that. Okay, looks flat, specular reflections.
So we'll just skip over here. So, and then he, of course, the globe claims that the horizon is a physical, tangible surface.
Here we go.
And it is not. It's literally a horizon that is apparent. That's why it is where the sky appears to meet the ground.
Somebody mumbling. Go ahead. Is that someone trying to get in there? No? Thought I had someone mumbling.
So here we can get into some of the specifics here. But of course, also on a globe, the horizon should drop down and away from you as you increase altitude. What we see in reality is it rises with us, which is a major problem.
What? Rises with us? No.
Why did he go there? I thought he was going to go into some sort of black swan.
I mean, may as well lay out the argument as I've explained the oil rigs in terms of a verbal description of what visually is represented in the black swan image. But the argument that the namesake black swan is attached to is a modus tollens argument. If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then every distance to the horizon, that's Earth curve, can be measured no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, that's Earth curve maths. Distance to the horizon in the black swan image, as described with the two oil rigs, is beyond the physical limitation at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet as laid down in Earth curve maths. Therefore, the horizon is not Earth curve, and the Earth is not a sphere with a radius of 3959. That's the argument.
So, long story short, the entire globe model depends on the accuracy of the claimed radius value, and if that radius value is wrong, the entire model is wrong. So, in closing, what I'm going to say is...
No, the argument of it being a model and the argument that the model is wrong. Earlier, I pointed out that any victory that can be attained with the globe model is only attained through its capability of reverse engineering itself back onto a flat plane so that it matches and tallies with all the angle measurements we take from that flat plane. That's where the globe works. You haven't had the greatest minds put this abstract model together for it to just not work with any of the measurements we actually take on the surface. That's level, surface. All of the measurements that we take from surface level will function within the heliocentric model. Now, the out-of-the-box thinking has been applied so we have better predictive capabilities of what the stars will do. That's the purpose of the heliocentric model. Where we went wrong was about 300 years ago, where we started reifying that concept into the surface we stand on, when it can't possibly be the case if the model itself is based on accurate measurements of a flat surface. That's how it comes to fruition. The globe comes to fruition and functions by way of its use of the origin measurements that are flat.
Again, falsifications independent of replacement. The literal default position is that the Earth is a stationary plane. The globe says, well, yeah, but it's so big it looks flat, and it's so big that based on...
Yeah, there you go, Witsit. No, hang on to that thought. When they say so big it's flat, that's because they're taking measurements. The reason they have to apologise for it being so big is because they've measured it flat. Now, you've tied those two things together, like we all did for 10 years, so I'm not going to hold this against you. But that's an interesting point that he's just raised. Witsit has pointed out where our opponents tell us they measure it flat, and then apologise for how sphere-shaped it isn't. Well, we need to start recognising that they need to measure it flat and point it out immediately, not allowing them to measure it flat and then arguing within a false dichotomy where their flat Earth measurement, then turned into the sphere model, is held up like it's a globe we're standing on, and then put in false dichotomy with what they tell you your flat Earth will be. Because both are flat Earth in nature. Both, if they're working models, rely on the origin measurements off the plane, which is what we take and put into effect. So rather than going into the false dichotomy where they say, here's my flat Earth measurements I call a globe, let's argue about how your pizza pie doesn't work in a sky vacuum, point out that your version of what you think is a globe to argue for starts life with its origins in measurement, and those measurements are off a flat plane. Effectively ending the argument, effectively making anybody who's got half a brain listening realise that it isn't an argument, it's not a debate. That's a category error. We're into how we measure Earth to turn it into a sphere, and it is flat.
On the angular rate of motion, you can't tell that it's moving. Could that be true in theory? Sure, but that
You'll need a flat Earth for that angular rate of motion with respect to an axis perpendicular to a plane of reference. That's how they describe it. I went through this earlier.
is a concession that the default position based on empirical evidence and observation.
It's not empirical evidence and observation, it's measurement. There's no empirical observation of something being flat when you're taking an angle with respect to it. That's a horizontal plane of reference, meaning we reference it for angle measurement. That's how Earth has been mapped and navigated. That's not empirical evidence. It's a matter of fact. It's how it is measured. Getting your standards mixed up.
Is that the Earth is a stationary topographical plane, hence why we utilize it as such for all military technology.
Correct. First thing is said on point. Yes, it's a topographical plane that we utilize. That should be the main point you labour. Ad nausea.
Etc. Therefore, to make a claim that everything is antithetical to that, you objectively and logically have the burden of proof. And then we'll get into a lot.
No, his burden of proof is overcome by that, because his burden of proof will require the topographical plane you describe to be measured and referenced to infer axial rotation perpendicular to a plane, derivation of eye level and surface level flat, to infer sphericity and obstruction based horizons below that surface level you measured flat. Yeah, it actually overcomes any debate or argument when you understand implicitly what you just stated. Perhaps it's a surface level understanding that Witsit has, but it's a start. It means he has a statement in his arsenal that he can appreciate overcomes the argument with him having it pointed out by me right now, rather than it being a throwaway regurgitation of something that just sounds good.
A lot of the things that he mischaracterized my arguments regarding throughout the debate, hopefully. But yep, there you go.
Okay, thank you for the opener.
So he got it the wrong way around. Your closing statement about Earth being measured and utilised as a topographical reference plane should be the first thing you said. And it was the last statement rather than the first. It should have been your opener. Shame. Mostly 90% globe evidence from Witsit. The flat Earth bit was buried with observations seem to look flat. And we have specular reflections. That was his actual standard. And then at the end, he had the highest of standard and it was brushed past in an instant. So, not even a mixed bag. 90% globe evidence as far as I could tell.
Yeah, Nathan, it should have been the first thing he said and the last.
Yeah.
That's a failure on part of flat Earth to prove that the Earth is measured flat.
He did throw it in at the end.
Yeah, like you said, it should be the opener. You know, we shouldn't be talking about the globe. There is no globe. Meanwhile, there is a horizontal plane of reference that we use for everything. Navigation, build on. You know, it should be talking about that. It's not.
Yeah, that's the thing that ends the argument. And it's added at the end like an afterthought.
Yeah, it would have been good if he started, like you said, and then ended with it. Because it all begins and ends with flat Earth.
This shouldn't be allowed to be the format, really. QB was discussing this yesterday. It should be make a claim, offer your support, and then entice the opponent to rebut it. And then you respond to the rebuttal. That's it. That's how the debate should go. This whole spend 10 minutes going through a baseless assertion spew fest is just nonsense. I don't really get it. And all it gave Witsit the opportunity was to put his globe earth arguments in the forefront of every person listening. Because that's, for the most part, what I got from it. That's why I got so frustrated. Why are we telling the world, as flat earthers, how the globe is supposed to have this effect not working? Just nonsense. I don't see why we should be doing that anymore. Life is more simple than that for us now. You know, Earth's measured flat. That's it. Again, I had another commenter that was saying, when you've got the feast of nonsense dribbling out of everywhere, you know, why would you want to mention Earth being measured flat? It's almost too concise. And then he added something on the end, like with a comparison, he's saying, but on the other hand, when you've got the holy hand grenade, what else would you want to use? Like, exactly. You've got the holy hand grenade, Earth is measured flat, toss it in and watch it explode. That's what you got to do. So just before Refracted Curvature made his final appearance, he had a tete-a-tete with Danny Faulkner, and Danny Faulkner is an avid listener of the show. And with lots of protracted silences, what did he do? He steered the conversation as far away from measurement as you could possibly get it. So it's been...
denied measurement.
I don't want to be anywhere near it. It started off with maths is reality. You're like, no, calculations aren't reality. Extrapolations aren't reality. Maths itself is abstract. But in terms of what you can relate that abstract to in physical reality, measurement is one of the things that you can actually tie to physical reality. Now, they wanted all of their conceptual extrapolations to be the reality, not the measurements, because the measurements were flat. They would always be telling us about angles to stars back in 2015. There's a base understanding from our opponents, even at surface level of research for a globe, that Earth will be measured flat. That's why we get numpty saying, oh, it's only because it's so big. Yeah, they do, because they have done a surface level bit of research into the globe and very quickly found something like an elevation angle or an acquisition of a horizontal plane and gone, oh yeah, well, it says in the text that that's because just Earth's so big, so we can measure it flat on this little area and that. You know, treat it and measure it as flat and that, and establish flat with the Earth itself and reference to it as flat. But that's only because it's a really big ball. So it's like, yeah, everybody understands with a tiny bit of research how Earth is measured flat. So let's roll with it. Everyone already understands it, don't they? And if they don't, oh, well, you just don't understand your globe rhetoric very well. You're entitled to your belief, as long as you understand at a more fundamental level where your belief has its origins in a measurement of a plane.
Unless you could tell me how you get measurements off a curved surface like a globe, which you can't.
Go ahead,
That's
Ghost.
why they have to evoke refraction, because evoking refraction is the excuse for the non-existence of globe measurements. There is no measurements for a globe. There are measurements for a flat plane.
Exactly. You're on the panel, Go. Take a leaf out of Neil's book. Just interject when you feel necessary.
Well, it's very telling that Daniel Faulkner, the first thing he went to was measuring his table. So maybe he hasn't measured the Earth yet. He's still practicing with his tables.
Exactly, because he went to describe.
No, he didn't.
He went.
No, stop.
But he went to describe the different shapes.
I was going to say he didn't. He tried to use that as an example where it could be measured, but in order to ascertain that the table is oval or circular or square, he only needs to give you a quantification based on looking at it. Yeah, a qualification, rather, of what it is in shape without measurement. So that was his first attempt to deviate away from measurement. You could, but I don't need to.
Yeah, but the measurement is by implication when it says a table. Tables are flat. You don't need to measure the table. It's flat.
Sure, but the point overall, George, is that they want to skirt the topic. They want to get away from measurements because the measurements are flat and we can take them to their origins every time. And idiots like on screen now, we've got Dave McKeegan, because triangles are flat. What, the triangles we use in all of the mapping and navigating, Dave? Yeah, that's right. They are.
It's funny though when you get them back down to sea level, which I try and do quite often as the the horizontal reference frame for measurements and elevation profiles. It's so funny because at that point they've got to start saying that sea level is actually curved and level is curved, and as soon as you start doing that, you're just highlighting their desperation of the globe when they start saying sea level is curved. I mean, it's just that's
Yeah.
something else when they start doing that. But
Take
that's
them
not. That's
take
where
them to their
you
own
just
maths.
stay there. You can just stay at sea level.
So I thought you were finished.
Sea level will kill them. Sorry, I'm just saying sea level will just kill them all day long. They can't handle sea level.
It's in their maths. It's
That's what-
labelled surface level. They think it's a tangent, but it is what we can acquire in terms of referenceable things in reality. And it's in their maths called surface level. When they say it moves around the
And that's
centre of a
what
sphere,
Witsit had
level
to do,
isn't
didn't it?
level. No, it is. To describe a curve, you need to describe how much it deviates from level. So you can't have level be redefined as not level because you need it for your maths also. Now, at the point that you recognise that level must be level, cannot be curved when it's using triangles, which is how our mapping system is developed off a flat Earth, then you appreciate that that is how the world is mapped and navigated. Now, their only response is to say, no, well, the level that we just measured for the triangle isn't level, it's curved. No, it's not. And it's not in your maths. It's right there, parallel with eye level, not moving around a sphere, violating the principle of level to describe the curved surface from. You can't bend level, and that's their only get out when you point out our level they're measuring it. So they say, we measure it flat, but that's only because it's a really big ball, but level doesn't really mean level anyway. Level means round a ball. As soon as we finish building it all flat, it's basically comporting to the sphere that we imagine after the fact. No, it doesn't. Level means level. Just means we're measuring Earth flat. And so are you.
You need that triangle to be flat because you're going to use it for your circles of equal altitude. That's why the triangle must be flat.
But the thing is, I agree. The Witsit there, he all that garble he went on with. All you had to come on and say Earth's measured flat, and we use sea level to do that and accomplish that. Right, I'm finished, and let's see then how they respond to that. That's all you have to do.
Agree.
Go ahead, Neil.
I agree with one deck. You just say that and say, I'm done. Next.
Yeah, completely agree. With that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So, another massive thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, hit me up on Ko-Fi and PayPal and all that good stuff. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and G Plus panels for making today's live show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video. Sphere on the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel later on this evening for all of you watching this live, as there's going to be a Quantum Eraser roast to round out his Give, Send, Go campaign. So be here or be Sphere later on this afternoon. in the UK or midday 2 o'clock time in America. So check it out. Also, shout out to the Flat Out Truth, who managed to smash the super chat right near the end and said, Earth measured flat equals Mike Tyson to the globe. Use it. Okay, thank you for the super chat. See you all in the next video.